Think your brother Jeb will be president one day?
I wish he would be. When the man says I'm not running, he means it. And I wish he'd run.
Would he be a good president? Absolutely. And don't just take that from the father prejudiced view. I mean, he's a good man. He performed as governor. He's well-spoken. He's not an extremist. He's not a wild guy that attributes bad motives to those that disagree with him. And he's good. And people that know him and hear him say the same thing.
It has always been no before, but Jeb Bush opened the door just a crack to following in the footsteps of his father and brother this week when he made the rounds for his new book, Immigration Wars, co-authored with Clinton Bullock. And we're glad to have the former governor joining us on This Week Right Now. Thanks for joining us, Governor.
Thanks, George.
I want to get to the book in just a second, but let's start out with that charm offensive this week from President Obama, having dinner with Senate Republicans, talking with Paul Ryan as well over lunch. And it really seems like he's trying to resuscitate this grand bargain over the budget. What do you make of that?
I don't know what the intent is, but I'm very encouraged by the fact the president is trying to restore some personal connection with policymakers in Congress. I'm at the Reagan Library today, and that's kind of what Ronald Reagan did. He didn't scorn his adversaries, he embraced them and got a lot done. And so when I saw that, these meetings, the lunch with Paul Ryan and the dinner, of course, this is very positive in my mind. It makes it harder to reach agreement when there's not trust. It's just human nature, and so this is maybe a good positive first step. Ronald
Reagan was also willing to reach out for new revenues when he thought it was in the best interests of the country. I just want to get your position clear on this. You've talked about the challenge of reducing debts and deficits and said that you would be open to some new revenue if you believe the president was serious about entitlement reform. Are you seeing those signs of seriousness, and are you sticking by that position?
I haven't seen the seriousness of the president's efforts. I'd love to see a specific plan that really did bend the cost curve for Medicare and the entitlement system. I haven't seen it. So if there is, through these talks, some kind of consensus that emerged, I don't think you should say no, no, no about anything. Frankly, there has already been one of the largest tax increases in American history a month ago. And frankly, we ought to be focused on sustained economic growth, which grows more revenue for people and for government than any tax increase that's been suggested. So there are a lot of things that could be done to create a real grand bargain, and let the process work. I'm hopeful that the president is sincere about this.
Let's talk about immigration. I think your book surprised some of your allies, a whole bunch in there, but a lot of people focused on what seemed like a step back away from your previous support of a path to citizenship for immigrants who are illegally in the country right now. And by the end of the week, it seemed like you had worked your way back towards being open to it again. But Senator Lindsey Graham, one of your allies in the Senate who's working for a bipartisan immigration reform, was surprised. He said that your statements undercut what they were trying to do, and only a bill that has a path to citizenship can get through the Senate.
So Senator Graham and I talked. He was responding to concerns that were expressed before the book was actually published. I gave him, he's gotten the book, he's seen it, and in our conversation, I told him that I support his efforts and I applaud what he's doing. And he concluded, after he heard what the thesis of the book is, that we're in sync. We're on the same path. The basic premise needs to be that coming to the country legally should be easier with less cost than coming to the country illegally. And if you can create a system like that, as is being discussed in the Senate and in the House, through a path to citizenship, that's fine. But my guess is that will take a long, long time to achieve. In the interim, it's important to take people out from the shadows to allow them to have the dignity of having legal status. And there we agree as well.
And are you encouraged, based on your talks with those in the Senate and the House, that this can actually get done this year?
Yeah, I am. I'm very encouraged. There are some big sticking points about how do you deal with making sure that there's enough seasonal workers, temporary worker programs that have been quite successful in the past. There's a lot of people on the left that oppose that, but there's perhaps a way to make this economically driven. The AFL-CIO and Chamber of Commerce have reached an agreement to kind of create a path for that. There's a lot of work being done, really good work, courageous work, because this is complex and may not be popular. But I think it is possible that comprehensive reform could be done.
You've done a lot of interviews this week, been out there a lot. The New York Times said it was a rocky week for you in your reentry into national politics. And I wonder if that's how it felt to you. And did it affect your thinking about a possible presidential run someday at all?
I haven't found it to be rocky, but I'm not viewing this as a political reentry either. I just don't view it that way. I've been concerned about immigration and the positive aspects of it being put aside while we fight the political fight. And it's a very dangerous time for us to be doing that. And so with my friend Clint Bolick, we set out to write a book last year to lay out a conservative, positive agenda to regain our strength as a nation through embracing our immigrant heritage. And that was the purpose of the book, and I hope when people actually get a chance to read it that they see that that was the intent.
But your answer to running for president is not no anymore, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how you get to yes by saying not no, but I'll let you all figure that out.
I'm not saying it's yes. I just want to know if the door's open a little bit. Finally, I know we're running out of time.
But everything's viewed with a political lens in Washington, and that's just the nature of the beast, and it is what it is.
Finally, we all saw that picture of your father yesterday with former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. He looked like he was doing pretty well. How is he feeling?
He's doing better. You know, he's got his spectacular chief caregiver, Barbara Bush, taking care of him, and he's regaining his strength day by day. And he's out more. He was at the University of Texas A&M at the Bush School twice in the last 2 weeks, so we're excited that he seems to be making great progress.
That is good news. Governor, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you.